they called me to see what time I would be into the office. And I was just like, I can't do this anymore. What did I just do? Like, I don't have any other option now. I had just blown up my whole life. I call it soul contract astrology. When we're talking about like building a business or like building a personal brand, your incarnation cross is a huge key to building in alignment.
I'm not able to just see things for like surface level. For example, how comfortable you're gonna feel being on camera, how comfortable you're gonna feel marketing your stuff like it's the best shit ever that ever existed is going to be a reflection of who you are on a deep level, how comfortable you are with yourself, how much you think of yourself.
The moon's important because it makes you happy and makes your business fulfilling. I made so much more money doing what I want to do. I have like something else that I really like doing in soul contract. That's core wounds. But do you want to talk about yours?
But tell me what it is.
So your
Today's guest, she quit her corporate job on the spot, zero backup plan, zero savings, and that one decision led to her building her six-figure business. And not by following the rules, but by literally throwing them out the window and following her soul contract. And today she's breaking down what is your soul contract, how your human design plays into how you're meant to operate your business, run your life, everything that is going to bring you more fulfillment and bring you more money. So welcome to the show, Breanna K.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
You quit your job without any backup plans, without any saving, nothing. You were just like, let's go. What exactly made you do that jump, even though everybody around you was probably going up in the corporate ladder and wanting to stick to that? Like, what made you go, okay, no, I can't do this?
Yeah. Okay. So if I'm being really honest, it was like a very poorly thought out plan. And like the only reason that I think I made that decision was because I was severely lacking sleep. I made the decision like when I was driving back across the country and I was trying to drive straight through the night. So it was like a combination, like the perfect storm of things that had to happen for me to just be like, you know what, I'm gonna just like leave and do my own thing. But I think the roots started being planted months before. So what was leading up to it was the fact that I would go to work when the sun hadn't even like fully came up yet. I would work all day. I would get off of work, go to the gym, and then by the time I got home in the winter months, it's like dark already. So I would go to sleep, wake up, go to work, go to the gym, go to sleep, wake up, go to work, go to the gym, go to sleep. It was just this cycle of like literally doing nothing. And that started to wear on me. I was like, I don't even have any freedom. Like, what am I even doing? There's like nothing to my life besides going into the office and then going to the gym, right? And then I was bartending on the weekends. So just like working myself to the bone. And then at the point where, like I said, I was driving back across the country because I'd gone home to visit my family in Wisconsin. At the time, I was living out in Oregon. And they called me to see what time I would be into the office. And I was just like, I can't do this anymore. Like, I'll be in when I get there. I just drove all night, you know? So that, it was like such a silly breaking point. But it just, it was when I was like, I don't want this. Like, I need freedom over my own schedule. Being like, I'm going to blow everything in my life up and just try something that I already know that I love. And I'd been throwing around the idea of starting a photography business. I tried to give them my 2 weeks notice, and she's like, are you sure you're in the right headspace for a 2 weeks notice? And then I was like, you know what? I don't think I am. I think that I'm done now. And she's like, okay. So I tried to give my 2 weeks notice, and she was like, I don't know about that. Didn't even know what to do besides like make this dream work because it was either that or like literally feel like I had just blown up my whole life.
Taking the leap to follow the passion and everything and then hitting six figure. But I want to talk about like what happened kind of like in between. Like, was there a moment where you were wondering, did I actually do the right choice? Like, am I actually in alignment with my calling, what I'm supposed to do?
So at that point, I don't think I was thinking at all yet about being in alignment with my calling or anything. I was just like, I've known that I love photography for years, but I never wanted to turn it into a business because I didn't want to ruin what I loved. But when I didn't love what I was doing 9 to 5, 40 hours a week, it doesn't really make sense to try to protect what you do love to that extent that your soul is being sucked out. Monday through Friday. So I did have a moment though, or like many moments probably, where I was like, am I just faking that I'm going to build this business, or like faking that I'm ever going to be able to support myself? And am I just going to have to bartend the rest of my life, or like suck it up and try to get another accounting job the rest of my life? You know, like, am I going to have to go back to something else?
And when did you first started to learn about your soul contract, all of these things? Like, how did that even appear in your consciousness?
Yeah, so I don't remember the first time I heard of a soul contract, but I do remember the first time that I heard of it regularly over and over again. Started to become like a thing for me is around the time that my sister died. So I would hear over and over again, like, oh, this must have been meant to activate something in you, or you must have had a soul contract with her, or she must have had a soul contract to leave this way because she was killed by her ex-boyfriend. So it was a very traumatic passing. Must have been a reason for it. Like, there must have been a purpose behind it. And that's when the idea of soul contract started coming up. Basically, the idea that like we come into this life with certain goals, certain challenges, like even soul contracts with other humans, certain experiences maybe that we want to go through. So like we as souls choose these things for our lifetime to help us grow or to help other souls grow. So that's like the spiritual idea of a soul contract. And then along with that, it's also said that we choose like our birth times, we choose our birth names, our families, so that they can help us grow. A lot of it just really centers around like we have these things or chose these things for our evolution, so that when we get to back to the other side, it's almost like some people call it earth school. So we come here to learn. I think that the more spiritual version is hard to actually let guide you because you don't know what's in it. And even if you think you know what's in it, then you're always like, wait, okay, so you might think that you are meant to be a podcast host, right? Because you can impact other people and like you can do really great things when you have that platform. And then there's still going to be that part of you that's like, but am I being delusional? Am I really meant to be a podcast host, or do I just want to be a podcast host, right? So you don't have the like concrete, this is who I am, like this is my purpose, this is my path, all of those things. It wasn't like I did it overnight or like came up with it. It just kind of slowly started like piecing together in my mind. What I do is I call it soul contract astrology, and it's this method of piecing together a tangible version of your soul contract that's based on astrology, numerology, and human design, all layered together. Because I feel like when you use one system, it's amazing, but when you layer all of them together, you get such a more well rounded picture of who a person is and their path than any of the systems alone.
How do you know if you are actually in alignment with your human design? You're kind of just forcing things without realizing.
Yeah, so human design is a really good system for like energy management. And I'm a generator. The majority of people are generators, but there are other types also. But we're meant to, like, we can work like workhorses as generators, but that doesn't mean that we're meant to work like workhorses on things that don't light us up, because we can still burn out. And because we do have that ability to like lock in and work, even if it is something that isn't in alignment for us, then we will deplete our energy. So a really great way to tell if like you're working in alignment with your human design is like literally energy based. Like if you're burnt out, you're probably not in alignment with something in there. A lot of what I use is related to your purpose in human design. So I use your incarnation cross a lot, and also profile lines I think can be really helpful too, to figure out if you're like moving in the way that you are meant to, specifically in business. So for your incarnation cross in human design, that's like your life purpose in human design. So when we're talking about like building a business or like building a personal brand, I feel like your incarnation cross is like a huge key to building in alignment. So I find that one really fascinating. I find this out as I'm building this program, right? It is that I'm meant to help other people come back to their spirit or their soul. So that's the first program that I ever actually launched that anybody even cared about. So there's like in my mind this tangible connection between like building something that you're meant to build and like building random crap that you think that you're supposed to build or that sounds like it's going to make money. Because this is like so in alignment with what's in my blueprint. And I was called to build it before I even knew that that portion was in there. I pulled up your incarnation cross too. And do you want me to just read like what's in a piece of this?
Work your magic.
Your incarnation cross is the right angle cross of the vessel of love is what it's called. Right angle cross is a personal destiny path. So that means that you're here basically to like live out your own alignment, and when you're in alignment with yourself, then you naturally have this energy that's going to like ripple out into the world and affect other people just from you finding your own alignment. So, with the right angle cross of the vessel of love, it says that you are called to explore the many facets of love in your life. So, your path is really about embracing universal love and fully experiencing and appreciating life and love, and to like promote love among all people. So, like, I would think that a huge part of your purpose and a huge part of your like mission in your business, your why in your business should come back to like making people feel loved. And it doesn't have to be as direct as like saying that that's your purpose, but like even the way that you show up for your clients and the way that you show up for your podcast guests, I would think that that's probably like at the core of a lot of what you do. And if it is, then that would be something that I would say would be in alignment for you.
Yeah, so I definitely think that it makes sense what you're saying, because I feel like for me, be the person that like they can actually unleash their full potential. They can actually go to that level that like they already know they should be at, or like they already know, oh my god, like I feel like I'm capable of so much more. And I feel like that is kind of like maybe the love version of like, I'm kind of like I'm able to kind of like be like, hey, like this, you're right, like let's make it happen. Let's like full like pour into your full potential, because like you could be like so much further along, or like you could be making so much more, like go. So I feel like maybe like that kind of connects to it.
I
Yeah.
would say that that's linked a lot with it. I feel like that definitely sounds like it fits into that whole theme. And like what you'll find in the soul contracts too is that it's not going to be like you're meant to be a doctor, you're meant to be a teacher. Like it's not going to be that direct. We have
Yes.
free will, so we can do whatever we want. Like let's say I wanted to stay in accounting. Like I could have stayed in accounting and I could have made it fit my soul contract, but there are going to be things that are going to naturally fit better. What I'm doing now naturally fits better. And actually, even this is probably like worth noting. So your midheaven is going to be your like number one business placement in astrology, and that's basically your career and your legacy. My midheaven is in Pisces, which Pisces is known for spirituality, creativity, art. When I was in accounting, the reason that I say like I could have made it fit is because like I could have maybe started my own accounting business for like other spiritual women or like for creatives. Like I could have made it my own. It doesn't naturally fit. Like I feel like accounting's kind of a Virgo thing, and that's my sun sign, which is why I was like, oh, it's a great fit for me. I like numbers, details, but to me, your sun sign's more of this like conscious side of you, not this like deep emotional, like purpose driven side of you. And I decided to change, like pivot my business from photography into spiritual business coaching. I still didn't know anything about my astrology really. Being in this field that Pisces rules, and then like switching to another field that Pisces still rules, like this whole spiritual field, it was not something that I was like consciously choosing because of my astrology. It was something that I was just following like what I felt called to do and like the path I felt called to go on based on like my interests and my joy and like what was lighting me up. And it still ended up following that. So I think that there's like a lot to be said about just following your own internal compass and your own passions and desires, because they will also lead you there. Like you don't need to know the tangible version, but the tangible version helps if you want that clarity and you want to like, I don't want to say skip steps because there will always be trial and error, but I think like knowing your destination is going to help.
Even though I pivoted my business, I feel like my purpose was in the same font, but it evolved. I'm doing something completely different, but in some way it connects to who I am and like how I am an expression of like myself and like what I love to bring into the world.
So, do you have like a purpose or like a why statement in your business?
My main why is I want to be that person that brings clarity and that helps other people achieve the level that they already know they should be at. All while still making them feel like they get to be in alignment with themselves and with their business.
Your midheaven placement, which is the placement I just talked about, I would say your core business placement. Your Sagittarius midheaven. Do you know anything about Sagittarius? I feel like people are so tied to like their sun sign that they know if they're not familiar with the rest of their chart that it's like hard for them to picture themselves as anything else. But we're onions and we have layers, so we have all these layers to us.
No, so tell me
Yeah,
about
so
it.
Sagittarius, I actually really like Sagittarius energy. It's free spirited, adventurous. Sagittarius is known for like higher philosophy, higher thinking, and it's also an like the optimist. It's a very optimistic sign. So when you're like, I want to help people to achieve these things and like get this like clarity, those I wrote down the words achieve and clarity. So I don't remember how you phrased it, but you said those words, and to me that like wanting people to kind of like see their potential and like achieve these things um is like in alignment with like that optimism, and that's very Sagittarian. And then like the clarity aspect, I feel like comes down to the philosophy side of Sagittarius. And I feel like even from what I've seen, the way that you operate in your business, what I see on social media, you're just like bubbly and fun. You're not like, okay, now we're gonna sit down and we're going to do this 10-step blah blah blah. Like you make things fun, and I feel like that's all very Sagittarian. They're like the life of the party.
I don't believe in doing stuff that bores me to death. So I think that's definitely maybe with the what you're picking up on. But yes, like for example, for me, I'm more someone who's like type B, like very creative, very intuitive, all these things. But I do need structure. I feel like it's hard to like be bored when you're doing your passion and you're just like, this is what I'm meant to do. I don't know. That's just how I think.
So you might already know this because it's your sun sign too. I think I didn't write down your sun sign, but you're a Pisces. Your midheaven sign is going to like roll into all of your business. I think your midheaven sign should be the the number one like thing that you consider with your brand and whatnot, which is for you that like adventurous, free spirited, like optimist, like higher philosophy type of energy. And it is a fire sign, and I feel like your presence is like it is kind of fire, like you have a fiery energy to you in my mind. But
Thank you, thank you.
speaking to you more one on one, I do see that like softer, like more emotion. I don't know if I would say emotional, but like more maybe. I'm not sure yet. But I do see like that softer side of you also, that you are like more approachable because we've been in
More approachable.
we've been in the same room, so we haven't had like a chance to talk like one on one because I like to hang out in the
Yeah,
back and
for
not
sure.
talk. The rising sign is the other sign that I say to tie into with like personal branding or with your brand aesthetics, brand strategy. Your Pisces rising and your Sagittarius midheaven, as far as your like brand goes, I feel like those are going to be your two key like placements to building a personal brand that's in alignment with you. Did that make sense?
Yeah, and especially when you mention the higher philosophy, I feel like I'm not able to just see things for like surface level. Like I feel like, for example, even your branding, the way that you market your business, the how comfortable you're gonna feel being on camera, how comfortable you're gonna feel marketing your stuff like it's the best shit ever that ever existed, is going to be a reflection of who you are on a deep level, how comfortable you are with yourself, how much you think of yourself. And like all these things, like I'm not capable of just being like, hey guys, like this is the tactical strategy, because you could have like the like tactical side of things, but it's not going to matter if you don't know how to tie it in your identity. I like to think of myself as I do think about a lot of things and a lot of like philosophy and stuff like that. So yeah, it does make sense.
When you're working with your business, there are other placements, there are supportive placements, and then there's also the numerology and the human design too. But these are like your business big three. So those are your, instead of your sun, because I just think it's such a conscious part of you. And I think we're meant to build businesses from like our hearts and our souls. We don't put it in the business big three. We use your midheaven, which is the placement I talked about earlier, your rising and your moon. So we just swap your sun and your midheaven. So you are a Gemini moon. In my world, moon means that it's like your emotional needs for fulfillment. And like I said, I think we're meant to build businesses that are like deeply attached to us and also that fulfill us like deeply on an emotional level. And I think that if they don't do that, then it's probably not in alignment for us. Your Gemini moon, Gemini is really known for communication and duality because it's represented by the twins. To be fulfilled emotionally, you need that like communication, probably like social communication, and I'm not sure how the duality would play in there.
The piece that I need to fill up, which is I am someone who I recharge alone. So maybe that's kind of like the duality part, which is like I really thrive in like being around other people, like community, clients, all that stuff. But at the end of the day, it's kind of like what we mentioned on the other podcast episodes that we filmed, which is like I am someone very outgoing and like my persona is very out there, but I don't identify as someone who is extroverted. Like I'd say like I'm more like in the middle. I need like my solo time and everything. So maybe that's the duality part.
Yeah, I feel like that definitely could fit. And I think that it's so helpful too when people are in touch with like who they are and what's going on because then they can help fill in these pieces. You have the rest of your chart, you have even like the houses. Your Gemini moon's in your third house, which is also the house of communication. So we're doubling down on communication here.
Okay, okay, let's
So,
go.
hey, podcast host, that's, I mean, so fitting.
Podcasting, messaging, like content is all about communicating too.
Oh,
So
yeah.
it's like
I think that the moon's important because it makes you happy and makes your business fulfilling. I have like something else that I really like doing in soul contracts besides like identity and purpose work, and that's core wounds, which aren't as fun to talk about. And I actually think that it's going to be related to like what we already talked about on mine with your business journey. It's this like wound that you'll have your whole life, but we're meant to overcome to an extent.
my whole life.
You were meant to overcome
Okay.
it to an extent, our wounds,
Okay.
and like learn through them and grow through them. And like we should be at the point where we can help other people through it. But it's like,
Okay.
I don't know, like something that doesn't fully heal, but we can still come out on the other side of it and like learn how to work with it and like use it to our advantage. You'll have things that come up that keep like pressing on that wound and triggering it because you're meant to heal it as much as you can. But you're like, okay, like tell me. Okay, so yours is in the reason that I wanted to specifically talk about yours is not only because I get curious like how they play out in people's lives, but yours is in your house of business. So yours is in your house of business
Okay.
in Capricorn in your sign of like Capricorn's known as like the CEO of the zodiac. So when I saw this, because we just
Oh
had our other
shit.
conversation, and you were like, I didn't go to college. Like I decided to like take this path that not a lot of people understood and like go do my own thing. That's kind of where it took me because in my mind I was like, well, maybe there was like doubt. Maybe you like doubted yourself when you were doing that. And I don't know
Oh
if you did
yeah,
now.
hell yeah, I doubted myself. Yeah, sure, I doubt myself, but at the same time, it's crazy how it's accurate when you said like I am someone who's very optimistic. I am someone who's always gonna be yeah, like I'm gonna have the doubts, but like it's not gonna stop me from doing what or believing in what I'm capable of. Like they can like live together. So yeah.
Yeah, and that's why I always say that we have layers. Like I already said it, but I literally think of us like as an onion because it's like you can have this even as far as like two completely separate zodiac signs that have totally different energy, both can be very present in you and both can be real and like true to who you are, but they just like show up in different areas and it's like being able to understand yourself on that level where you can see that like yes I have this side but it coexists with this side and like both are me, instead of just classifying yourself as like I'm a Pisces, so I'm only intuitive and creative in like every area, when that's probably just like not true. Like it can be true in a lot of areas because you do have a lot of Pisces, but it's like being able to see how you operate in such like a broken down level that you can like section it out into like, this is me in business, this is me in like my internal world, like this is how I show up at first glance, this is how I show up when people maybe like know me on an acquaintance level but like don't know me deeply yet. I think that can be all really like, I don't know, validating, and it can help you to put words into things that you probably already, if you're in touch with who you are, that you already like sensed, but you didn't really know how to break them out in your mind.
And then like how would someone, let's say that someone is like, okay, I'm like this in business, I'm like this in my personal life, like how would they be able to take that and then optimize it at their at the most that they can, so that it's even more, it feels even more like that, it feels even more in alignment than they already are.
So I feel like your sixth house in astrology is huge for like your business routines and stuff. So remember earlier how I was talking about what like started to really weigh on me when I was working in accounting was the schedule, and it wasn't like an abnormal schedule. It's just that I was like living to work for somebody else in a job that was like fine but didn't do anything for me. My moon sign, which I talked about, is your emotional needs for fulfillment, is in Sagittarius, which is that free spirited, like freedom sign. But looking at that, it's like I can see how in my business, like in this, you can apply it to business, you can also apply it to life. I can see how in my business I need some of that like freedom and flexibility and adventure. Like if this is gonna sound like the lamest adventure ever, but like if I want to go get a coffee in the middle of the day, I get to go get a coffee in the middle of the day. But you know how soul sucking it sounds to me to like be in an office where I can't drive and go get a latte because I'm supposed to be working. Like that just, it's not what I want to do, because that's a part of my blueprint. So like anybody could look at their sixth house and kind of figure out like based on the who rules their sixth house, based or figure out like how their daily schedule can be put together. Whether it's like Scorpios are more intense and like transformations big for Scorpio energy. So like maybe they really need to be working on things that are like transformative, or like maybe they need to intensely work for a little bit and then like give themselves a break and then like intensely work. But like depending on the placements there, you can kind of figure out like as far as your schedule goes what's in alignment for you. When it comes to business, you can save yourself time from like building things the wrong way. My in numerology, my life path, which we haven't covered your numerology yet, is a life path 1. So I am, it's called the leader, which I used to literally always say like I'm a follower, not a leader, and I don't operate by that anymore. But because I knew that, I was like, I'm gonna stop being scared of public speaking. So since I've seen my soul contract and I'm like convinced that I have this life path 1 and that like I shouldn't be scared of public speaking, that is just like something that I've placed on myself that isn't true to who I am at my core. It's helped me to overcome, or like start overcoming that fear and start like leading group programs and doing live master classes and even just like speaking on the podcast. When I first started my podcast, I would do all of my
Oh my
interviews
god.
without the camera. We would do like just voice because the camera made me so scared that it was voice only for the first like 6 months.
Yeah, that's crazy though. But I think that a lot of people can have these perception of themselves too, which is like you kind of start having this story which is not even accurate, and then you realize that like, oh, if I want to achieve X, Y, and Z, then I need to change the story, and you have complete control over that. So, and you're proof of that, with the podcast and like thinking you were like a follower, and now you're like I'm a leader.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think that these give you like just enough ammo to be like delusional in the best way. But you're like on the right track. So you're meant for it. Start to picture how some of them can layer together so that you have a more well rounded picture of who you are. Well, yours is a life path 9. And life path 9s are, I think they're called the humanitarian as like their nickname. So I mean, if you think of a humanitarian, they're somebody who's like always looking out for other people's needs, and they're compassionate, generous, empathic, so spiritual, emotional, so that even like ties in with your Pisces energy some too. So I feel like that would kind of just like double down on that. But do you feel like you resonate with that energy at all?
Yes, so everything you're saying, I'm like, check, 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 that's me.
Yeah.
How would someone know if maybe they think that they're like in alignment, but actually maybe they need to change something to be more in alignment, or maybe they're not, but they think they are?
Yeah. Are you experiencing resistance, and are you having fun with it? And is it like bringing you joy? Is kind of what I go back to. So you might experience resistance even if you're doing something that's in alignment. If it's like, I don't want to do this because you're scared. So you might like create resistance from fear, and that's different. If you're just like, let's say when you started your podcast, maybe you were like scared to start your podcast, and you might have had resistance around it because of that, but it still very much might have been what's in alignment for you. So you kind of have to decipher like, is the resistance because you're trying to protect yourself, or is there just genuinely like resistance that you never get around to, but you're not scared of it? Because if that's the case, it's probably not in alignment for you.
I love that. I love your insight on this little round that I do for guests. So it's called the obsess or repels. Big spontaneous travel.
Obsessed.
Oh.
You don't even need to give me the other one, but I want to know it. But I'm obsessed.
Or like everything organized and planned.
No.
Like which one is okay? Like just on the fly, let's go.
Yeah, I actually, my friend for her 21st birthday, which was a while ago now, which I hate, but she wanted to go to Vegas, and this is at the time I was like, it was even before I started in accounting, so like I never had any money. Okay, so we are like broke, and I'm like, I can't go to Vegas, right? And it was the day before her birthday. Her and her boyfriend at the time were flying out to Vegas, and I'm like, you guys can't go without me. I was living with my ex at the time. I like left him a note to feed my cat, and I went to the airport and flew out. So I'm, yeah, a fan of that for sure.
Next one. Either doing Pilates forever without yoga, or yoga forever without Pilates.
I'm obsessed with reformer Pilates. I like tried it a couple of times. Actually, I'm going tomorrow morning too. Mine's going to be Pilates. I feel connected to specifically reformer Pilates, in a way that I don't feel as deeply connected to yoga, even though I like yoga.
Okay, nice. Me too. I'm a Pilates at heart. I love having you on the podcast. And for anyone that wants to like dive more into your world, where can they find you?
You can listen to the podcast. I have Malika on my show. She'll be on, I don't know when this is dropping, but sometime probably around the time this drops. So you can listen to that too, which is just Rebel CEO podcast.
And as always, if you absolutely love this episode, make sure to share it to someone, share it to a friend that you absolutely know she needs to hear this. Thanks so much for tuning in, and don't forget to leave your 5-star rate and review on the podcast. I love to know what you guys think of the episodes, and I will meet you here next week.